I'm Adam King from Q Sports News, and we're on our way to the U.S. Open, road dogging it.
Let's go!
All right, welcome back to Q Sports News, guys. I'm Adam King, and I'm going to attempt to do a monthly recap. Maybe just this time. I might do it, if it goes off smooth, I might do it more often. But I was at the U.S. Open, which was fantastic. We'll talk all about it towards the end. But I was out of town, and I didn't get a chance to prep like I usually do. So, no problem. With no further ado, let's start with September 3rd. Turning Stone Classic. A great independent event that goes on every year. It is worth Matchroom ranking points this year, which is awesome. Matchroom basically just decided that anybody that, I don't know what the rules are, but apparently you earn ranking points all over now, which is probably fair. That gives everybody a chance to go get them, which has been a problem with Mosconi Cup rankings in the past. So I think this is great. And the Turning Stone, run by Mike Zuglin, who's been doing it my entire life, I feel like. I think the Turning Stone Classic's very worthy of being a ranking event. Anyhow, you might have heard, or maybe you haven't, maybe you're hearing it here first, Fedor Gorst finally gets a ranking title. And I say finally just because he's been close a lot. Actually, I'll go over it later. He's the most consistent guy right now. And he's probably playing the best overall pool, but he's lacking a lot of these big titles. And at the U.S. Open, I got to see the anxiety that he's feeling, which once again, we'll get to that in a little bit, but it is interesting. He's like the Tiger Woods that's like not winning very much right now. But in this case, he did win the Turning Stone Classic. I believe that's 37. Fantastic. Fedor wins over a 50-year-old Mika Immonen, who's having a resurgence lately, playing fantastic. This is Mika's best finish in ages. Thorsten Homan comes in third. Jeremy Sosay, a stalwart of the American Northeast, the best player up there in my opinion, best American player up there in my opinion. Jeremy gets fourth. Jonas Salto Camino, who also had a pretty good U.S. Open, finished in fifth. Lee Van Corteza tied for fifth as well. And then, it goes down. Jason Shaw for once did not win the event, finishing in 7th, 8th. But a great event for Fedor, though. A great event. Fedor, we've kind of taken him in since he's been exiled from Russia. Everyone jokes he's the best American out there right now. But anyhow, a great event for him, finishing great. Turning Stone capped off the beginning of the month, and it only gets better. Fedor adding 10K to his ranking points. Another independent event that also had Matchroom ranking points, I believe, I'm almost certain it does, was the 50th annual Texas Open 9-ball, which was like an extravaganza down there in Texas. It gets bigger every year. You may have heard a little bit about the Calcutta. It was insanity, the biggest Calcutta I've ever seen, and I've been at some tournaments with six-figure Calcuttas, and this was bigger than that. So pretty awesome. If you're a fan of American pool, super awesome. We're finally seeing Tyler Steyer come into his own. Tyler Steyer wins the event. He got second the week before, which I didn't include in this because it was in a separate month, but he got second in California to Shane Van Boening. Two big tournaments back-to-back, 2 weeks apart. Tyler, going to be on the Mosconi Cup team. Very well deserved. He was always kind of a bubble guy before, but now he's qualified by points, which will make him feel better. It'll make his fans feel better. And he's, at any given time, he might be the best American right now, which is, pretty heavy for him. He got through Vitaly Patsura from the Ukraine, also, kind of a refugee, exiled, however you want to say it, in the U.S. right now. Vitaly, though, is playing fantastic. He has a good U.S. Open as well, which we'll get to. Sorry, I just came from the U.S. Open, so it's fresh. But Vitaly beat Shane Van Boening and regulated him to third place, and Tyler Steyer beat Shane Van Boening. To put him, we're used to seeing Shane win so much that it's odd to see these younger guys, finally getting past him. They only get past him by about a game still. Shane's still at the top of his form, but it was good to see. Canadian John Mora finishing in fourth. Roberto Gomez with a strong finish. He's living down there in Houston now. Kind of a home tournament for him. Shane Wolford, another USA guy, finishing in fifth, sixth. We're looking for Shane to keep getting some strong events because it's likely he's going to be our fifth man on the Mosconi Cup this year. I could see that happening, and I think he's playing well enough to deserve it. Sky Woodward rounding out the other 7th place position. Lots of good finishes there. Sky finishing high all the time. Tyler finishing high all the time. Shane Wolford in the mix, and then Shane Van Boening still being at the top of his form. I think we have a hell of a December to look forward to with the Mosconi Cup, and I'm definitely excited. September 10th, the 2023 China Open, we had a repeat winner in Joshua Filler. If you remember back in 2017, this was the tournament that really set Joshua off into being this young phenom that we know. I believe he was 19. He might have even been 17. I think he was 17 when he won that. That's incredible. But he won it again. That's breaking 9-ball with the 1 on the spot. A WPA event, which I'm not going to go into right now, the whole WPA Matchroom struggle. But the 1 on the spot is becoming the secondary break in the world. I just came from the US Open, and then I practiced with some sets yesterday with a guy where we broke with the 1 on the spot. It feels like an absolute luxury. It feels like an absolute luxury to break with the 1 off the spot after you've been breaking from the Matchroom box, cutting it, with the 1 on the side. So a lot of players did not go to the China Open, a lot of top professionals that is, because they didn't want to fly across the world and break with the 1 on the spot, and I can't blame them. I can't blame them. It adds a lot of luck to the tournament. However, Joshua Filler plowed through the field and made it look very, very easy. Even though, actually, interestingly, he lost his first match. So talk about heart. Talk about a guy that, true professional, never giving up, and at any given time, the best 9-ball player in the world. He loses his first match and snaps the event off. Also, this can't be left out. Anthony Raga with his second place finish in a major in a row. That'll piss him off, certainly. Raga's a winner. He's used to winning, but he got outplayed. In the China Open, he definitely got outplayed. I feel like in the Spanish Open, everyone that watched that, we covered it last week, he was supposed to beat David Alcade. And he'll look back on that and understand that. He was supposed to beat David Alcade, but he didn't. David stuck in there and snapped off the European Open. Raga, 2 second places in a row, but shows excellent consistency from the young man from the Philippines. Kunlin Wu from Taipei finishing in 3rd. Kunlin's always around the top 10. This guy, I'm surprised he doesn't have more titles since he won, I believe, 2021 Predator Pro Series in Las Vegas was his only American large title, but always dangerous. Oh, wow, here we go. It's going to challenge me immediately. 3rd place, a guy I just played in the US Open, actually. Vozchek Shevchek finished in 3rd place. The Pole always finishing high. The guy's super consistent. Wonderful form, never say die attitude, and super nice. I got to speak to him a lot at the Open, and we're wishing him more success. I believe he's playing in Doha, Qatar, which we'll get to. Carlo Beato and Lu Haitao. Lu Haitao, one of the best players from China, finished in the 5th positions. Very strong tournament from them. Long Doc Tien from Vietnam, continuously fighting to get up top. He had a good US Open as well. Mario, he and Albin Ocean rounding out the top 10, or the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th positions there. Albin finishing high all year, but not getting through for a title. When he's had 2 great years, I'm sure that'll light a fire under him, and look for Albin to play well in the Mosconi Cup if he does make it. Alex Pagulayan, though, I got to mention him, and Alex Kazakis, 2 of the nicest guys in pool. 9th through 12th with David Alcade. Again, a strong finish from him. Nukioi actually swinging in there in the 9th, 12th position as well. Fantastic event. Once again, hats off to Joshua Filler, 2-time China Open champion. And I believe that's his 4th big title this year. Whew. Pretty damn impressive from him. We had a smaller ranking event on the Balkan Tour that Niels Fyan snapped off, and I wasn't going to mention it, but I found it interesting because of what happens later in the month. So, this is September 18th, Longoni Loznica Open. Niels Fyan wins. He beats a guy from Serbia that I've never heard of, Luka Bulatovic, and Faruk Terzic from Bosnia-Herzegovina. A lot of guys now, Sanjin, we'll mention him in a little bit. Matter of fact, on this list, Sanjin Pelfanovic, the Bosnia-Herzegovina area, the whole Balkans are starting to produce more and more top-level 750 and above Fargo players that are starting to finish well around the world. And previously, we hadn't heard from them at all, so that's really interesting. Proving again and again, as we'll see as we run down the tournament list, pool might be the most international sport in the world right now. It might be. It might be the most international sport I've ever seen. There's 30 different countries a lot of times in the tournament. It's wild, and it's cool to see. Max Binko, young Max Binko from Slovenia. I think he's like 17 now. Max Binko is coming up. He just won the European Juniors 19 and under. This kid is absolutely going to be breaking some hearts soon, along with a couple other Europeans. And we have a Lazaro Martinez, an American, I might add. We have some exceptionally talented youths coming up. Max Binko finishing in third, right above a Serbian, Alexa Pacel, perhaps. I'm not quite certain how to say his last name, but he has a hell of a U.S. Open. We'll get to him. He also makes one of the best jump shots I've ever seen in my entire life, which if I can find that clip, I promise I'll put it in because it's stone cold impressive. Alexa with the fifth. Georgi Georgiev, I believe is how you say his name, from Bulgaria. Looks like Georgi Georgiev, if you were to say it in English, and if it's that way, well, then I apologize for the former pronunciation. Another strong tournament from him. I've heard of this guy quite a bit, but he doesn't seem to make it out of the Balkan area much. I'm going to look him up, actually, because I'm interested. He keeps finishing high on this Balkan tour. Nick Malai from Albania. Sanjin Pelifanovic, who, whoa, baby, he had a good U.S. Open. I'll get to him later. Sanjin with another 5th, 6th finish. But Niels Feijen getting some Mosconi Cup points. That's why I brought it in. Niels Feijen, $3,200. This is his second Balkan Tour win this year. If he has an amazing U.S. Open, which he had an okay one, I'll look it up. But if he has enough points to be in the hunt at all for the Mosconi Cup, I could see him being a wild card pick. He's 2 or 3 or 4-time MVP of the Mosconi Cup, Mr. Solid. So that's why I included that. Look out for Niels Feijen in the future if he can stack, if he can have maybe a good tournament in Hanoi or Doha and get some more ranking points. You might see an older Dutchman in the Mosconi Cup. I'd love to see that. I like Niels. All right, we have the Predator Pro Series September 23rd going on in Michigan. We had the men's and the women's Predator Pro Billiard Series happen in Michigan, finishing up on September 23rd. In the men's division, you saw the young Pole Victor Zielinski getting another big win. Victor climbing up the rankings now. I looked at the rankings today, but I don't quite remember where Victor is, but he's into the top 20 now and maybe a bit higher. Victor's fantastic. He also has a great U.S. Open. Aloysius Yap, this is absolutely stone cold impressive. The Singaporean, he gets second in the Michigan Open. This is his third Michigan Open final in a row. He won it twice in a row, and then he got back to the final the third time. And the field has been a little tougher every year he's played it. Fedor Gors, the Turning Stone champ, got third place, and Aloysius had to get through him to get to the final. Absolutely impressive. Misko Fortunsky, another strong Pole, which, man, this is a guy I'm looking to snap off like a major. Misko's right there. I'm not, look, winning these things is hard. I watched a lot of his matches at the U.S. Open, too. He's playing fantastic, losing close, bitter matches. But I think he's going to get there. All the Poles, they're just going to exchange. The Polish players are just divvying up a lot of the biggest titles in the world. It's cool to see. They're like the European Philippines, pretty strong. Dennis Grabe, always a stalwart. Another 5th place for Dennis. He's got to be upset with finishing there, but, it's hard to get through. Jen van Leierop, I'm butchering that name, I'm sorry, from the Netherlands. Leierop, I believe. I saw him at the U.S. Open. He has his name on the back of his jersey. 5th place for him and playing fantastic. I watched him play a bit. Very, very impressive. Jovan Bustamante, and I'm just going to keep saying it wrong, Vozchev Shevchuk in 5th place again. Guy's going to keep popping up and torturing me with those consonants in his name. Rounding out the top 5 there with Victor Zielinski stacking up. He's going to be on the Mosconi Cup now, almost a certainty. Almost a certainty. I know he has almost 100K in winnings now. It'll just depend on how much of that was actual ranking points or not. It's tricky nowadays with the way Matchroom is doing it. But Victor and Aloysius with another great tournament. Fedor with another good top 3. Fedor is in the Mosconi Cup now. I think officially after the U.S. Open with his, we'll get to it. Kelly Fisher, though, proving that she's the most consistent women's player on earth, wins 2 titles we'll get to this month. Kelly Fisher winning another Michigan Open, another 18,000 ranking points for her. She gets through Chen Yu Chao in the final from Taipei. And then a Japanese player who I was not familiar with finishing 3rd, Kihiro Kawahara, I actually have not even gotten a chance to watch her matches, but we are getting a lot of good Japanese players. I mean, Nukiyoi's over here. There's another couple that, I shouldn't have mentioned it because I can't remember their names, but Japan, though, having a resurgence, absolutely. And it's awesome to see them over here after COVID and seeing people travel again. And another Taipei player, a stalwart out here in America now, Su Chin Wei, finishing in third place. The great Allison Fisher, the Duchess of Doom, finishing in the 5th, 6th with Jasmine Ocean. Christina Takak rounding out as well. Well, they actually got this wrong on the paper here. Allison got 4th, Jasmine 5th, 6th with Christina, and then Bean Hung finishing in the 7th, 8th with Chuha Chen. Great tournament for them, and it's nice that the women are getting good paydays and so many chances to play at a high level. And you're seeing the women's game has never been at a higher level, especially not in the U.S. It's fantastic. It's a shame, though, and I'll call all you ladies out there, there's not one American lady on this list. Not one. And that is a shame. Now, way down the list, actually, no. That's impressive. Ladies, American ladies, get your stuff together. You're getting robbed right now without one American lady in the final. Step your game up, ladies. Anyway, September 23rd, we had a minor ranking event for Matchroom in Connecticut at Jason Shaw's pool room. This was fantastic, but what was interesting, young Moritz Neuhausen from Germany, Joshua Filler's partner in the World Cup of Pool, Moritz gets his first big win. This was really nice to see. Moritz is a very nice guy. I tell you what, at the U.S. Open, it didn't matter the day. As soon as they opened the practice, it didn't matter when his matches were, he would show up first in line, get his practice in the mornings. He's putting all the effort in, this kid, and he's going to win major titles. So beyond this, Moritz, though, beat Yulong Chang from Taipei in the final. Chang having a little resurgence here. We haven't heard from Chang in a while, and he's an International Open champion. We know he's one of the best players on earth, but he's back in America for a little bit, and he's showing up. Mario He, another 3rd place for him. We're waiting on Mario to break through. I've mentioned it before. I actually got a chance to talk to some of the Austrians there and at the U.S. Open, and Mario He he's frustrated with all these thirds. He's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, 5th. He's one of the most consistent players in the world. But one day he will break through. Mario He will break through. You can't keep putting yourself in positions like that without getting there. But hats off to Mario, another great tournament. Shane Van Boning tied for 3rd place here, 3rd, 4th. We had Anthony Raga again in the top 5. Raga just putting up numbers right now. He came not from nowhere. We knew who he was, but now that he's in the tournament scene, he's proven that the hype was real. Nukioi finishing in the 5th, 6th position. Koping Chung, more to say about him later in 7th, 8th, with Lu Rai Tang, a guy I'm not as familiar with, rounding out 6th position there. But another good win for Moritz, though, the first big win for Moritz, and I didn't include it in this because it was it was only $2,500 added, but just before this, literally the weekend before, Moritz had gotten 2nd in a tournament at Rax in New York, and he got double dipped by Carlo Beato. So there's kind of a reprisal for him to snap this off after having a pretty bitter loss. All right, September 27th, and it actually ran into October 1st. You had the WPBA Iron City Invitational. The WPA, it might be their last event of the year, but to no one's surprise, Kelly Fisher. Kelly Fisher again. Kelly Fisher is beating these murderous fields of international players. Frankly, I think because of all the international competition and all the women's game has climbed, as I have already mentioned, it's climbed so much higher recently. What Kelly Fisher is doing right now in her mid-40s is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in women's pool. It's fantastic. Kelly Fisher beats Margaret Fifilova-Steyer. A great finish from Margaret. We've been waiting for her to snap one off. She's gotten 2nd and 3rd in several big events, I should say, over the last 18 months. She will break through, kind of like Mario He. She's going to get there. I know she put on social media she was upset with this loss. She did feel like she should have won, but you don't win until you get across that line, and it's hard. It's hard to do. Kelly Fisher dominant. Margaret having a great event. Christina Takash from Russia, third place. Another high finish for her. Same way with her and Margaret are neck and neck. It's hard to say who's going to win an event first, but both of them will. Su-Chin Wei, or Wei Su-Chin, I should say. Another strong finish for her. And fourth, Brittany Bryant from Canada having a fantastic tournament. Brittany has won many WPA events. Good to see her back in the top 5. Kristina Zlateva all the way over here from Bulgaria. Again, having a fantastic event. We're kind of waiting on her to snap one off as well. Always in the top 10. Great player. I love her stroke. Bean Hung, or Hung Bean. I'm not quite sure. All these the Asian names, they flip them on me. I'll get better at them. But I believe it's Bean Hung from Taipei. Another strong 7th, 8th finish. And a lady I've never heard of that I wanted to get to here, Veronique Menard, finishing in 7th, 8th, right above Allison Fisher. So she must be a real player. And we'll look out for her in the future. But Kelly Fisher, dominant again. I got to look up how many titles she's won this year. It's getting crazy, and really, really good to see. Good for Kelly. She's real cool and fantastic player and great under pressure. But here we are. I was kind of rushing through that to get to this. September 30th, the 2023 U.S. Open 9-Ball Championship, one of the toughest majors in the world, another Matchroom event. I got off the wait list. Actually, a friend of mine sold me his spot off the wait list just a couple weeks before the event. So I got to go play. Super awesome. I won a couple matches. I had fun. Got to talk to a lot of guys and got to watch the most difficult tournament that I've ever seen. I think this was the hardest one. It at least ties for 2 or 3 tournaments in the world that are harder than the rest. And the pockets this year were 4 inches, which they might have been at the last 2 Matchroom events too. I didn't verify that. But 4-inch pockets, slightly slower cloth, and the tight break box. We'll show it here. And everybody's cut breaking the one on the side. It's difficult to do. Koping Chung was making it look very easy. Trust me, it's not. This event was fantastic. I wish that I could go through the matches from the top 64 on. Epic matches. I have never seen guys dig so deep. A guy that I'll have to point out, Fedor Gorst, was putting forth a Tiger Woods level of effort in his matches. Razor focused, never taken a beat off. It was very impressive. Fedor Gorst, has started powdering his chin with baby powder so that his cue slides along it a little cleaner. I mean, you got to be pretty serious. I mean, this guy's, he's no longer, style's not even on the board. He's like, what do I need to do to play better? I have never seen anyone do that in all my time in the game. But anyhow, I want to talk about a few guys down the list here because I got to watch them in person. Hats off. Hats all the way off, hats, shoes, and jackets off to Alexa Pachel from Serbia. I thought he was going to win it. I mentioned earlier he makes the best jump shot that maybe I've ever seen with position. The jumping, the accuracy of the jumping and the ability to play position on 4-inch pockets, by the way, is getting outstanding. The equipment with the jump cues is getting better, and the players have figured out better ways to jump. Jeremy Jones mentions it in commentary, actually. It's a little more wrist action. The guys are getting more spin quicker. Your landing area of the cue ball, they figured it out. Where does the ball need to land to pick up spin with the amount of distance the object ball is away? Very impressive. And if you haven't been practicing your jumps and you want to go out to some of these majors, you better get the short stick out because you are going to need it if you even want to get into the top 64. We had a historic event happen as well. God, where do I even start with this? It's amazing. I'm going to go down the list and go up. That makes the most sense. Robbie Capito was a standout. We've been waiting for Robbie to finish high. Robbie's from Hong Kong, if you didn't know. He finally broke through heavily. He was finishing poorly. I mean, going 3 and out in tournaments, not making the money in these majors, and everyone knew how good he was. Well, at the U.S. Open, he finished in the 5th, 6th position, and man, it took a heroic effort from Fedor Gorst to beat him later in the tournament. Robbie played fantastic. Hats off. I think he got a lot of confidence from this one. Look out for Robbie later in the year. Jason Shaw played fantastic. He looked like he might win. And then right at the end, he just had kind of a wonky match. Once again, that'll be on the highlights. We'll put some of that in there. He missed a couple balls that he normally wouldn't, but Jason Shaw looked like he was well on the way to possibly win his second U.S. Open. Or did he win the International? I'm spacing now. But anyway, win his biggest major he's won in over 18 months, or about a year, I guess. He won his last one in November, if you don't count the Mosconi Cup. Carlo Beato with another great event. Aloysius Yap finishing in third place. Look at me, I'm still all over the place. But it's all right. We're going to go over this a little bit more in a second. I want to mention again Mario He. Mario He, again and again. I'm not going to stop saying it. Mario He's the best player out right now without a title. He's Mr. Consistency. I watched a bunch of his matches in the top 64 and before. I mean, the guy is great. I mean, you can't do what he's doing without being fantastic. Wonderful stroke, and once he figures out how to get out of his own way in the top 16 of these things, we're going to see Mario take down a big title. And I think with his level of consistency that he shows, Mario, he might snap off several titles if he can finally get one. I could see that happening. Earlier in the month, Joshua Filler took down the China Open, but the China Open pockets were quite a bit larger. I don't know how much larger, but they looked like they played much easier. And I was interested to see how he would play with the 4-inch pockets. And what happened with the 4-inch pockets in Joshua Filler is that he completely ignored them. And he played like he was on a bar table. It was very, very impressive. His early matches, woo! He was making those tables look like they were nothing at all. And they were tough, especially the outside tables. The TV table played very deceptively. It looked like it played pretty easy. It did not, and it did not play as difficult as the outside tables at all. Blame the lights, blame new cloth, I don't know. But the outside tables were playing brutal, and Joshua Filler was ignoring it. It was awesome to see. I think he's the best shot maker in the world. I'll say it. David Alcady, another great event for him. I love seeing the consistency from this guy. He finished in the 7th, 8th position, or 9th through 12th, I believe. But a guy I wanted to mention, another Polish guy, Daniel Maciel. Daniel Maciel was playing some phenomenal pool. Some absolutely phenomenal pool. He should be proud of this tournament. He lost out in a hill match or in the top 16. The guy was impressive. Very impressive. We'll try to put some Daniel up here. Miguel Silva, from Portugal, having his best major as well, finishing 9th through 12th. I did watch that match. He didn't play that great on TV at the end, but he played amazing earlier in the event. But a guy that I wanted to get to here because he's such a favorite around the pool world, 50-something-year-old Ralph Souquet. One of my favorite players growing up. Ralph Souquet made it into the top 16 in this event. He beat Albin Ocean in a really tough match to get into the top 16. It really did look like, or he beat, actually, I'm sorry, he did beat Albin Ocean, but that was in the top 32. And then he got through Chris Reinhold at the end. It just playing like Ralph from 2001. It was cool to see, and everyone loves him. He also had a great match with Earl Strickland that you can watch on Matchroom Pool. Sky Woodward losing out first match. Sky was the highest finishing American. Looks fantastic, but his top 16 match, he just didn't really bring it when he had to. Chris Reinhold, though, like I mentioned, good. That's his best finish in a major in a long time, finishing in the top 32. But something special happened at this year's U.S. Open, though. Something I'm not sure I'll ever see again. And, anyway, let's just get into it. Ko Ping Chung, Little Ko, blanked Aloysius Yap in the semifinal. He beat him 11-0. He made the one ball on the side 11 times in a row under extremely adverse conditions. Aloysius Yap never made a single ball in the semifinal. It's got to be the best semifinal I ever played at the U.S. Open. And I know Corey beat Mika in 2001 11-0. Who knows? I'm not going to look at the stats. That might be the best match. But this was intensely impressive. 4-inch pockets, mind you. Ko missed one ball that Aloysius couldn't get out from because of how it ended up after he missed it. But it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think Ko Ping Chung had the best final day in a U.S. Open that has ever happened. because he gets in the final and has to play Fedor Gorst, who looked, like I've already mentioned, just blazingly determined to win this major. We know Fedor wants majors. He wants to build a legacy. I think he absolutely will build a legacy. Fedor wanted it bad. Fedor got through Alexa Pachel, who looked like he was playing like God, and Fedor still beat him, just stopped him. It looked like a fighter stopping, like, I don't know, like the defending champ, and like Fedor just caught him on the chin. I don't know. It was interesting to see how Fedor got through Alexa, because Alexa played great. But Ko-Ping Chung just played better. In the final, he just played better. It was amazing. Ko-Ping Chung was not to be denied. He was stroking so smooth that he was making those 4-inch pockets look humongous. And Fedor did not play bad. Fedor had a couple of awful rolls. He played a good 4-rail shape shot we'll show here. It'll definitely be in the highlights. And he scratches in the side. His face, when that cue ball goes in the side, he's devastated because he made such a good shot. He didn't deserve that. But hats off, well, once again, Ko-Ping Chung, wow. Wow. And let's not forget that his big brother is the current Masters champion. So you have two brothers right now from Taipei that hold the Masters title and the US Open 9-ball title. That's epic. I'm not sure that'll ever happen again unless they do it again. Absolutely cool to see. His brothers lift him up here. It's awesome. They planned this out in the back. We got to watch him practice it, so they knew that he had a good chance to win. Fedor was very gracious in defeat, but he did say in his post-match interview, I should say, that he felt terribly defeated. He said he wanted it so badly, which made the drama all that more exciting. Fedor might, if you look at his consistency, Fedor's had his last 3 majors. He's got a fifth, and now a second. So every single major he almost wins. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that him and Josh, Raga, you've got a few guys up there right now. Katie, you must say, but it was impressive. It was impressive to watch Fedor. It was impressive to watch Alexa Pachel. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But Ko-Ping Chung, he not only played better than everyone, he looked less stressed. I don't know what's going on. That guy never looks stressed. This is his 3rd major, by the way. He won in the Maldives, and he won the Sharks thing in the Philippines that we reported on. There's a good argument. Little Ko might be the best player in the world right now. And well done to him. Again, that U.S. Open was fantastic. If you have a chance to go to the U.S. Open or any of the Matchroom 256-man majors, if you can play, I recommend you play. It was a fantastic experience. You need to know what those guys are competing against as far as the conditions and all the stress and how the ref racks so there's no rhythm to the matches. And then you add the shot clock in later, which is just wow. I mean, these players are turning the game into a sport. Matchroom has turned the game into a sport. I'm sorry that the WPA and Matchroom are at odds because the game has never been healthier. We need to get on the same page. This is, I don't think that the game has ever been this healthy ever. And the players are showing up. The best players on earth are showing up, and they're proving that you can take the game to higher places. And it's great to see, and we're going to get to see more and more of it. All the players are in Vietnam right now. Well, actually, there's a split. Half the players went to Vietnam, roughly half, and half the players went to the WPA event in Doha, Qatar. I talked to some of the Polish guys. They said for them and the way their association works, that was a much better choice for them, kind of a no-brainer. But Hanoi, very surprisingly to me, because he's already in the Mosconi Cup, he's already made $1 zillion, but he will not stop. Fedor went to Hanoi, and they better watch out. But also, we're all interested to see, this is the first major by Matchroom on Asian soil, and who is going to come out of that? I guarantee there'll be players we've never heard of. It'll be exciting, and then you'll have the stalwarts of the tour trying to shut them down. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to tell you guys about it. Real quick, you'll notice I'm in my new 9-ball branded, Matchroom's 9-ball brand. These undershirts here were the most popular thing at the tournament. They're ultra thin. If you can get on Matchroom's website, they made the perfect shirt for playing in those cold casino large venues. They're always chilly in there, and this is perfect. It's just thin enough, to hold your body heat in, or it's just thick enough, I should say, to hold your body heat in, but it's completely thin enough to go underneath your jerseys, and it barely even feels like it's there. So I wanted to rep them a little bit. This was a great idea. 9Ball repping it. The tour, it's fantastic. Matchroom, thank you again. All right, before we leave you here, I did want to mention for the first time on the show some 3-cushion billiard news. Admittedly, I do not know a lot about 3-cushion billiards, but I'm trying to learn more. But they just finished in the middle of this month the 3-cushion World Championships, and we had a cool story. We had 2 Vietnamese players in the finals, and we had a debutante, meaning his first time ever playing the event, won the tournament. His name, it's Vietnamese, so forgive me for the pronunciation, Phong Vinh Bao, just call him Bao here, got through Tayfun Tazdemir, the current world champion, to reach the finals, and his countryman, Bao's countryman, Kuyet Chin Tran, I'm sure I'm butchering that, and I apologize, who has won a couple World Cup titles, so this guy can really play, and Bao just, he beat him quite handily, which is impressive for a guy with his first time ever playing it. Tayfun Tazdemir finishing in 3rd, tied with Myung Woo Cho, the Tayfun and Cho stalwarts in the 3C world, I am told, and I'm seeing as I study. So Bao really got through an amazing event and beat all the best guys, or a lot of the best players in the world. And as well, something I needed to mention is 2 Americans, for the first time since 1993, finished in the top 8. And those 2 guys were Pedro Piedrabuena and Hugo Patino. I know Pedro's won like Infinity US Championships. He's won it like 17 times or something like that. And Hugo Patino also always right on his heels. So congratulations to those guys. 3-cushion is not huge in the United States anymore, but I wish it was, and I hope it's making a bit of a comeback. It's obviously big in Vietnam, and we know that pool is gigantic in Vietnam, especially around the Hanoi area. That's why Matchroom decided to hold a major there, and it's excellent to see. It's growing around the world. The Vietnamese seem like really pleasant guys too, around the US Open and everywhere I've ever seen them. So hats off to them. Let's see more Vietnamese out there. I'm sure we'll see them in Hanoi coming up in the next 10 days. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you again as soon as we can, and keep shooting straight.